This is Dr. David Allen coming to you on the television program, People Helping People. Tonight we're talking about a very important subject, the challenge of the Haitian Bahamian woman. With me is Mrs. Adeline Sweeting, whom I've come to know the past few years. She's a member of our family program, the Family People Helping People program. She's one of the pillars, one of the people I depend upon. I've come to know her and really come to love her. But you know, as I've come to know Adeline, I realize that the successful Haitian Bahamian woman has had to go through a lot. Fellow Bahamians, we've not been too kind to our Haitian brothers and sisters. And so in this program, I want to walk with Adeline through aspects of her life. Let us know what it was like growing up in the Bahamas as a Haitian Bahamian woman. Welcome, Adeline.
Thank you, Dr. Allen.
You know, it's been such a joy getting to know you. You seem so relaxed. But you know, as you told me about your early life, it was hard.
It was really hard.
What was hard about it?
Growing up was the hardest part. It was very lonely, isolated, and seemed to be very misunderstood by the public at large, and they seem to paint this picture of you that you were necessarily not. So it was very heartbreaking for me growing up in that.
What picture did they paint of you?
Something very negative, as if being a Haitian is such a horrible thing, as if you're inhumane, you're less than human. There must be something wrong with you. You're not worthy to get to know or to be around or to have value for. So that was very heartbreaking for me growing up as a child, because it took away from me, made me wonder, I must not be worth anything.
It made you?
Think that I must not be worth anything.
Really?
Yeah.
So it did have an impact on you?
Yes. Very large
This happened
impact.
as a little girl going to school, or?
Yeah, little girl going to school. I remember, well, I was born here, and when I was about 2 years old, they arrested my parents because they didn't have the right paperwork, and they sent them back to Haiti. So my dad worked hard enough, and he was able to get us permanent residence and bring us back, me and my brother. And when he brought me back, I was about 11 or 12 years old. And so it was time to go to school and mix with the Bahamian public and the Bahamian kids. Prior to that, I didn't think there was anything wrong with me. I thought I was a normal child until going to school, and the kids made you feel like, no, you're not like us.
What would they say?
They would say demeaning things, your Haitian self, your dirty self. They'll pick on what you wear, how you wear your hair, how you talk. So I isolated myself a lot. I would sit in the back of the class. I would avoid socializing, and I was bullied. I was bullied on. Kids would hit me. They'll throw their food at me. It was hard. Yeah.
Must have been really difficult coping with all that.
It was. It really was. Because I was looking for towards my peers to feel like I'm wanted. Because my family, they were very tough. They had this certain standard of get your education, go to college, and make something of yourself. So I was getting the pressure at home of make sure you be somebody. And when I went to school, you're nobody. You're never going to be nobody, your Haitian self.
So your parents were saying, you're somebody, and at school the kids were saying,
you're nobody. So it's like two conflicting things. So who do I believe?
And you felt the pressure on you.
Right.
That must have been really difficult.
It was. It really was. And I thank God that he had me way before I came to the Bahamas. As a little girl growing up in Haiti, my grandmother, they have this thing called all-day prayer meeting in Haiti. And they will take us young kids, well, they took me. My grandmother took me. And she would spend half the day in church praying and singing. So she had me there and I was sleeping, and even though I wasn't taking part of what she was doing, I got to know God in that way as a young child. So when I came here and I was facing all of that, it was God whispering to me, "You're my child. You're a child of God. I own everything within the earth. This is my world I created. So no one could tell you belong here or you belong there." So it was my Christian faith that helped me cope and keep going, but it was really hard.
Did you ever think of giving up?
Oh yeah. It looked easier to just give up. It felt easier to just quit.
Like some days you didn't want to go to school?
I didn't want to go to school. I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to talk to anyone. Even at home, I isolated myself. So I just created this bubble.
You created a bubble?
And it was just me. It was too painful to allow someone in. Right. So I did spend a lot of time by myself. And even the grown folks, when they saw me walking the street, I'm like, "Why are you always alone? Why are you always walking by yourself?" And now that I've looked back at it, I was not alone. Thank God I had Jesus Christ walking right by my side. Because some days it felt like I was alone, but thank God he was right there to keep me. Because had it not been for him, I wouldn't want to be here.
That must have been very lonely.
Yeah. It was very lonely. So it took some time for me to grow into my own and to start believing that I am worth something and that I am somebody. And that didn't happen until my high school years, when I started to know God more. And I guess because I was growing up, I understood a little bit more. And I started to feel as if I have value. I am capable of bringing something to the world. So in my high school years, I started to fix my hair a little different. Maybe fix my clothes a little bit better. Maybe I'll blend in. And it worked. I got the kids' attention. They finally came around and started talking to me.
So you changed your image.
I changed my image to blend in.
So that was your first sign of really coping.
Right.
You decided rather than giving up,
Right.
you would change your image. Now, how does one change one's image?
Well, one of the things I stopped doing, when I walk, I would look down. When I was
So
younger,
when you walk, you'd look.
I would look down.
Why?
Because, like I said, I was ashamed of myself. I didn't feel like I was worthy.
You were ashamed of yourself?
Right, being a Haitian.
Sorry, being a Haitian made you feel ashamed of yourself?
Yes.
Because what the people said?
Yes.
They looked down on you, and then you looked down on yourself.
Right, so I walk with my head down. And one of the new things I started doing when I finally got the courage was I started to look up.
What was that like? What was that like to move from the shame of people shaming you as a Haitian, and then you shaming yourself looking down, then all of a sudden you decided, you know, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to start looking up.
I decided to fight. I decided to say, "You're wrong about me. You're missing out. You don't know what I'm worth. If only you will get to know me." So I carried that attitude, and I walk a little straighter. And I spoke a little clearer, and my classmate took attention to that. So I wasn't the popular kid, but now I wasn't picked on anymore.
Because you went through a change in yourself.
Right.
You decided to stand up and be who you were.
Right. And I decided to say to myself, it's a lie. What they're saying to you is a lie. You're worth it. You're worth something. You're beautiful. You're intelligent. You're courageous.
You're pretty.
So because I started to believe that, and like I say, thank God for Christ for actually making me feel like as a child of God, you're worth something. So that was the changing factor of my life, and that's when I started to behave a little differently and started to believe some of the things that my parents were saying. You could be somebody.
Wow.
You're going to do something with your life.
Adeline Sweeting, what a powerful story. Here she is, a little Haitian girl. The kids would tease her. You're nothing but a Haitian. People would shame her. They would look down on her, and she would look down on herself. But somehow the prayers of her grandmother gave her a sense that I am somebody because I am God's child. And you decided to have the courage to look up and be somebody. And all of a sudden, the kids started to notice. We're going to take a break and be right back. This is Dr. David Allen coming to you on the television program, People Helping People. We're talking about the challenge of the Haitian Bahamian woman. With me is Adeline Sweeting. In the previous segment, she talked about how hard it was being in school, as the kids would look down upon her and call her Haitian and tell her she was no good. But yet in her early teenage years, because of the influence of her home and the prayers of her grandmother, she started to look up. And when that happened, you said, Adeline, there was a kind of change in the children toward you.
Yeah, it was a change. I guess people notice confidence, and they notice when you're ashamed of yourself.
People notice when you're confident, but they also notice when you're ashamed of yourself.
Right. And I guess people know when they're getting to you, and what they're saying to you is something you actually believe. And for a long time, I believed them. And when things turned around, where I started to hold my head up high, I showed that confidence about me, and I believed in myself. So because I believed in myself, now somebody else could have believed in me, because I was very confident in myself then.
Now, Adeline, the children were very hard on you initially. How were the teachers?
The teachers were great, actually. I didn't have any issues with my teachers.
They were fair?
They were fair, because I was respectful. And all the teachers really asked for was to be respected. And because I was a very quiet child and always focused on my work, they didn't get any problems from me. So my teachers were actually very kind to me, and they encouraged me.
So as you hit your teenage years, you started to feel more a better self-esteem and feel better about yourself.
Right.
Now, what were your thoughts as you're coming to the end of school?
To be honest with you, one of the reasons why I was capable of building myself up is I had tell myself this story. I was going to get through high school, and as soon as I can, I was going to go to college and never step foot back in the Bahamas.
Wait, now, you decided that the best thing for you would be to get through high school, and you can get away from the Bahamas,
Yes.
And then you'd be free,
I'll be free.
and you wouldn't have the stigma of being a Haitian Bahamian woman anymore.
Right.
Wow.
So
It was that bad.
it was that bad because I felt like I had no place here. Everyone told me, you have no place here.
Bahamians would tell you that?
You have no place here. You don't belong here. As a matter of fact, I was working during the summer. I was working, and my boss's 12-year-old girl, it's a little girl, used to tease me so bad. Couldn't say nothing.
What would she say?
She would say, your Haitian self, go back home. You know, that kind of stuff.
Haitian self, go back home.
Yeah, go back where you come from. So when I got older, in high school, trying to work off enough money to go to college, I started working elsewhere. And I thought I was working with young adults. And I thought they were of age, so I wouldn't have to deal with the teasing anymore. And it was worse.
What would they say?
I say, carry your head back home. What you doing here? Carry your Haitian head back home. And it will hurt. So I had this.
How did that affect you as a young lady?
It made me feel like I need to leave.
The pressure was too much.
It was too much.
Get on a
It's
boat
like,
and get out of here. Go to America.
Yeah, just leave. So
You felt you couldn't fight the pressure.
I couldn't fight because it was the people outside of school also who didn't want me here. So how could I graduate high school and be a member of society when I'm not wanted? So I decided the best thing to do was to leave for the U.S. Whatever I had to do, I was going to save up enough money to go to college. And that's what I did. That's what I did. I work Sundays. I work long hours. I work hours people didn't want. I did whatever I had to do. And I saved up over $20,000 for the first year of school. And I was able to go to school for at least a year.
How ambitious. So you didn't mind working. You had a real zeal to work.
Right. I had the impression that because of the circumstances facing me, the only way I was going to get above, rise above, was to work hard. Work harder than anybody. Because now the standards for you are harder because you're not wanted. So you now have to show that you're an asset to a company if you're going to work for a company. You have to go the extra mile. And that's what I did.
So when you went to work, you worked very hard.
I worked very hard. I worked extremely hard. If I didn't have to take a break, I didn't take a break. If I had to come in early, I came in early, and I left late. And if you say jump, I jump. If you say whatever it was, I was going to do it.
Now, how is this affecting you in your heart?
Personally, I felt a sense of loss.
A sense of loss?
A loss.
Explain.
Who are you? Because you could go to the U.S., but what are you to the U.S.? Do you have any value to them? You didn't grow up there. You don't know anyone there. So it was this loss. What to do? What could I do to make myself a part of something, a part of community? And because I was rejected by the Bahamian public, so I say, well, let me try. At least America, they have so much different background, diversity. Maybe they'll accept me, and the first thing they would notice is not who I am as a Haitian, but who I am as a person. And that's what I wanted. I wanted someone to get to know me for me.
Were there any Bahamians who tried to encourage you?
Yes, there was some.
Why you laugh?
Because it was just the majority got to say. The voices that were louder kind of, I would say, win. There was still some that encourage you and say good things about you, but I don't know, you just believe, because there were so many that were saying such negative things, that maybe everybody feel that way. And whenever someone was kind to me, I always had in the back of my mind, maybe they're not being real. Because as far as I know, Bahamians don't like me. So I would always question friendships. And wonder, do you like me for me? Or are you thinking about me being a Haitian? So I struggle with that.
So you found it hard, even though you were Haitian Bahamian, to grab your Bahamian side was hard.
Right.
People won't let you grab that.
No, it was hard. It was very hard, and I think one of the things I did, I think I made it harder, and the way I looked towards the U.S., I just made it like just this golden heaven, and because I kind of took myself out of the Bahamas even before I left the Bahamas, I think that made it worse for me. Because
you kind of existed in the Bahamas by thinking yourself, one day I'll be in the U.S. And then I will be free.
Yeah. But if I had been thinking, this is my homeland, this is where I'm going to be, this is where I must forge my foundation, I think I would have worked at things different and maybe trying to push harder in terms of relationship building. Yeah.
And you did go to America.
I did go to America.
What was that like?
It was wonderful. It was the first time in my life I remember being happy.
The first time?
In my life, I remember being happy.
Why?
I was accepted. I was loved. I was admired. I was told I was beautiful. I was told I was intelligent, and people wanted to be around me. And it was very different from the environment of the Bahamas. It was very different because kids in the U.S. don't really care about who you are. It's whether you have a good personality they could mesh with. And so I like the fact that they got to know me for me, and they allowed me to be myself. So, of course, I was happy with that. Yeah.
And then, of course, you were in America for college, and after your first year, you decided to come back home.
Well, I ran out of money. The $20,000 only got me as far as the first year room and board. And the second year, I went back knowing I didn't have money to finish the full year. So what I did is I moved out of campus. I rented a room with roommates. I lived on the little noodles you get in the cup you put in the microwave. I pretty much lived on that. Didn't have the money to eat, and I just had the money to pay for the first semester. And second semester, didn't have the money to pay.
Money ran out.
Money ran out.
So you had to come back.
I had to come home.
What was that like?
Reality set in. And but I had learned something in the U.S., and that was you can make the best out of your situation.
America taught you that you can make the best
Out of your situation.
out of the situation. So even though you were coming back to Nassau, Bahamas, you came back with a determination that you were going to make the best
out of the situation. Yeah.
We're going to take a break and be right back. This is Dr. David Allen coming to you on the television program, People Helping People. I'm talking with Adeline Sweeting. She's a business lady. She's a Haitian Bahamian. She's telling us a riveting story about growing up in the Bahamas as a Haitian. You know, fellow Bahamians, we could be pretty cruel, and let us be humble because, you know, someday we may be in their situation. Let us be kind. So Adeline makes enough money to go to a college in the States, but her money runs out.
Yeah.
And you couldn't stay, and you decided to come back to the Bahamas. Were you scared to come back?
No, I wasn't scared to come back. By that point, I had, during the summer, I came back home, and I had met my husband today.
He's a Bahamian.
He's a Bahamian. And he made me feel a sense of a family, a sense of belonging, and made me feel that not every Bahamian believe in those things that I was taught to believe when I was younger. And that there are those out there who are accepting and who are kind.
Wonderful.
Right, so.
Well, you and Harold are a beautiful couple. And then you got into business. You're a very ambitious young lady.
Right.
How did you get the dream to own your own store? In fact, you had 2 stores, and to buy property and to build houses.
Well, it started from young. My dad always told me you could do anything. And I believe that. And I believe I have his spirit. But when I was leaving college, knowing I didn't have the money to come back, what I did is I wrote down all the classes I would have had to take in order to finish my major. And I researched the books that they actually use for the class. And I purchased the books and took them, brought them back here with me. So my idea was, even though I can't finish school, but at least I could teach myself a little bit of what I might have learned while I was in college.
Oh.
And that inspired me to get into entrepreneurship. So, and my husband played a big role in believing in me and pushing me. He was my #1 fan. So he made me believe in myself also. And that's how it came about, where I said, well, since working for someone doesn't seem to be working out for me, then I could own my own company. I could own my own business. And I could do something that I love. So that's where that dream came from, working for myself.
It's beautiful. And then, of course, we met each other a few years ago, and it's been such a joy to get to know you, Adeline. I just find you so positive, so assertive, and you're really one of the pillars of our program. And I really come to enjoy and to really love you, because you're such a beautiful person.
Well, I've never told you, but when I actually joined the family, was the first time I actually felt like I really have a home here in the Bahamas.
Oh.
So
that is very touching, because
yes.
that was the whole idea of
Right.
the Family People Helping People program. Because even though, you know, I understand you're a Haitian Bahamian,
right.
but there are Bahamians who feel disconnected.
Right.
With our massive drug problem, and then, of course, the financial downturn. Many of us are disconnected from ourselves,
Right.
disconnected from our families, disconnected from each other. So in some sense, you know,
Right.
I actually talk as a Haitian Bahamian. There are a lot of Bahamians who feel disconnected from their country.
Right.
And so what you see in the family is people coming together and in a way finding a new acceptance.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I felt from the family. I felt that I was wanted. I felt like the people were there to listen. They were very accepting of me. And I got a chance to form friendships and relationships like I never did before. And that gave me a sense of, you are home and you belong here. So never said thank you for that, but thank you.
Well, you know, it's a joy, and to have you say that means a lot to me,
Yeah.
that you really felt at home, and
Yeah.
I'm so happy. But let's get, you know, in knowing you, in the family, of course, we're authentic. We talk about our feelings.
Right.
We talk about our hurt. We talk about our anger. We talk about our fears. Remember once you said to me, Doctor, I'm very angry. You said, I have three kinds of anger. And I'll never forget. You said, I got Bahamian anger, I got woman anger,
Yeah.
and I got Haitian anger.
Yeah.
No. I said, whoa. What did you mean by the three types of anger?
I have a lot of things I bottled up.
Since childhood.
Since childhood.
All that hurt they put on you and the shame.
Right.
It was bottled up in your heart.
And I never dealt with it. And I had...
It's like you tied it up in a little package, put it in your heart, but like a sponge filled with water, the sponge is filled with hurt.
Right.
And it was right there.
Right. And I've never dealt with it. I've just moved on to the next hurt. And with the Haitian anger was, growing up as a Haitian, the hurt from that. The Bahamian anger is, growing up in a Bahamian society, I pick up, you know, Bahamian values, culture. So even though I was told that I don't belong, I still felt like this was my culture too as a Bahamian. And a woman anger is just being a woman and the issues with relationship. And I'm like, man, this is three kinds of angry. So I had to admit that I had some stuff to deal with, and I had to get to the bottom of the hurt.
And I guess in the family you see other people dealing with their anger and stuff, and it's amazing how as they deal with their anger, you come to realize that you're carrying a lot too.
Yeah, right. And it's amazing how much you learn about yourself by somebody else's story. So you, someone might be sharing the day, but they're speaking to me about myself. And I'm learning through their story about what it is that I'm not dealing with.
What are some of the things you've learned personally about yourself by heart in the family?
I learned that I wasn't accepting of people. And maybe it was because I wasn't accepted. I felt that one of the things I learned was that I'm not as accepting with people. And
in other
I could
words, because you were so hurt as a child, people shaming you and rejecting you, you realized that you were holding yourself back too.
Right. And I was being critical and judgmental just as they were being.
Wow.
So I had come to the point where I'm like, you will be no better than them. Have you go down the same path, being same, holding the same hurt and resentment and judgment of people and not accepting of others. So that's something I had to worked on, and the family allowed me to love again. And as a child, I used to play love songs every single day, and it's what gave me strength to believe.
So while you were being rejected as a child because you were Haitian, at home you would play love songs?
Yes.
Is there one particular song that comes to mind?
I love Celine Dion. I love all her songs.
What song particularly you like about it?
There was one song I talked about, I would go to the moon and bring water back just so you would love me. And
I would go to the moon and bring water back so that you would love me.
Right, and I pictured that. Someone loving me to that extent and wanting to go that far for me. And that's how I would build my confidence. Like, someone's going to love you one day.
You know, fellow Bahamians, is very touching, but we come from love. We want love, to be loved and to go back to love. And Adeline is saying, you know, in the time when she was being abused, that's what I call it, and rejected by Bahamian society because she was a Haitian, she'd go home and put on love songs, Celine Dion, and one said, I'll go to the moon and bring water back for you.
Yeah.
That someone would love me enough to...
Right, to feel that way about me. And what the family has done for me is it has taught me that in order for someone to love you that way, you must first love them in that way. And it has taught me that because I was never accepted by the Bahamian public, I must now accept the Bahamian public. That I must now love them in order for them to return that love to me.
Wow. In other words, it's by loving
Right.
that we are loved.
Right.
Another point is that one theory in a family we have, your heart is like a sponge. And when the sponge gets full of water, there's just no more space to get any more water. So when the sponge of your heart is full of hurt,
Right.
there's no space for love.
Right.
So if someone would say, no one loves me, but the truth is our sponge of our heart is so full of hurt
Right.
that love can't get in.
No.
So in the family, as you express or, let go of the pain and the hurt,
Right.
crying and the sorrow, the sponge has more space now to absorb
To
the love.
receive love, exactly.
And I've watched you literally become more loving.
Right. Yes. And it was because I was able to say, you are hurt. You were hurt. And you need to get in touch with that.
It takes a lot of courage, Shay, to admit that I'm a hurt person.
Right. And because I was able to address my pain, I was able to come to the point where I could say, now I could start to love others.
Fellow Bahamians, that's so important because, a lot of us complain that no one loves us. But if the sponge of our heart is so full of hurt from our childhood, hurt from our teenage years, hurt from our adult years, hurt from our marriage life, hurt from our divorce life, hurt from domestic disputes, hurt from intimacy, disintegration. All that hurt just builds up in our heart, and there's no space for love. It's not that no one loves you, but you have no space for love. We have to empty ourselves of our pain, as Adeline's saying. We have to let go of our fears and hurts, and only then we can absorb the love that is around us.
Right. Only
So
then could you
touching.
receive it. Only then could you see it,
Yeah.
because it's been there all along.
The other issue in the family is that, motto is that you have to accept that you're your problem. I know at first you talk about the Bahamian society, and I say, yeah, Adeline, I hear that. But what is your problem? Do you understand why we had to focus on your problem?
Right.
Why?
Right. And that was the toughest thing for me, for you to say, I have my problem. I'm like, no, I come here to tell you about my past and how this one hurt me, and my husband, man, he's a problem.
And I keep saying, Adeline, I hear about your husband problem. I hear about the Bahamians don't like your problem. I want to know what is Adeline's problem.
Right.
Why was I stressing that?
Because I had absorbed that pain, and now I had turned it against me.
Right.
And now it had turned into shame.
That's right. Once we are hurt, fellow Bahamians, impacted hurt leads to shame. And the only hope for letting shame go is you got to grab your problem. And the good news is you grab your problem and work on it, you become your solution.
Right.
So what I was saying from those early days, Adeline, I know you were hurt. I cried with you. I felt sad how my people treated you as a beautiful, intelligent woman. But I said, you still in the family have to face your problem.
Right.
What is your problem? I had to really chisel that out from you.
Right, because part of the wall and the bubble I built for myself was that everyone around me was a problem, and I was just being victimized.
Now notice, fellow Amy, she talks about a wall and a bubble. When people are hurt, they build walls and they build bubbles. In our country, because we've had so many murders in the past few years, a lot of us, in fact, our study in the family showed that almost 80% of people in the family can tell you they know somebody who was violently killed. Now that's a high rate of traumatization, because every time someone is killed, we have a social file of 100 other people, their friends, the people they went to school with, people they go to church with. They feel that pain as well. So it really means that a lot of us, fellow Bahamians, we're traumatized. We're deeply hurt. And unless we come home to face that hurt, it's going to be hard for us to be loving to our children, loving to our family, and particularly loving to our neighbor.
Right, right. And I had to realize that. And that was the hardest thing to say, was that I was my problem, and I had to start working on me and my hurt.
That was hard for you. I
That
remember.
was really hard.
And I wouldn't let you go because you would say, Doc, no, man, they hurt me. And I said, I hear you, I heard it, but what is your problem? What is your hurt? And it seemed as you started to get in touch with what your hurt was and express that, that you now move to your solution.
Right.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Right.
It's been an interesting journey for us.
It has been interesting, and I'm looking forward to growing and to learning a whole lot more about myself.
Yes.
And I realized the process was more for me than anybody else.
That's right. In the family, we don't compete with anybody else. You compete with growing with yourself.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I had to realize that that was my hurt, my pain. But now I could change the circumstances of that.
Beautiful. We're going to take a break and be right back. This is Dr. David Allen, coming to you on the television program, People Helping People. I hope you really listen tonight because this is a very important issue. The challenge of the Bahamian Haitian woman. Adeline Sweeting has told us about her life as a little kid going to school, how she was shamed and rejected. She would hang her head down and feel she was not worth it. But somehow the prayers of her grandmother and the love of her parents gave her courage. And I've come to know her. I've watched her grow. She's a business lady. She had 2 stalls in the mall. She's built apartments. She has a lovely husband. And she's just a beautiful person. But the most exciting thing about Adeline is she's willing to learn. When the gun goes off for the family to start, as it were, she's right there. And she wants to take in everything as much as she can to learn the principles of growth. Adeline, as we come to the end, you know, there are a lot of maybe young Haitian Bahamian Haitian girls or guys who are listening, and maybe they feel like you this evening, that this is not their country. They feel they don't belong. And I must admit, as a Bahamian, sometimes we've been very cruel. Not only to Haitians, but to each other. We can be very difficult, xenophobic people. What would you like to say to that young Haitian girl or boy who's struggling?
To that young Haitian girl and the Haitian boy, I just want to let you know that it is possible to overcome, and that the future is not as bleak as it might seem, and that God is working, and that there's nothing, if you put your trust in God, that He cannot help you overcome. I know my story might seem like, okay, what she did, maybe I can't do it. You know, her case was different. If I only had time to really get into the detail of what I went through, you would say, wow, how could you have come from that? But I just want you to know just how I've come through it, you could come through it too. And the family has done such a great work in allowing me to have a home, to have a foundation, to have people around me saying that you are loved, you are wanted. And I just invite you, as a young girl or a young boy, or an adult, Haitian or Bahamian, because we all are hurt. I invite you to come out on Wednesdays and be a part of our family. Because if we all will be honest, we all have some things that we need to work on. We all have heartache and we all have pain. And what I've learned is it's not necessarily the person across from you that's the issue. Sometimes you could find peace within yourself. But you have to be willing to do the hard work of actually talking and allowing yourself to be broken. So I invite you to come out. It's a good experience. It is a really good experience to be a part of people and to have a community to say, I could call on this one any day and she'll be right there. So is something invaluable. So please come out.
Now, Adeline, you said that I realized that working for people was difficult. So I decided to start my own business. How does a woman, and maybe women out there listening, how does a woman start their own business, open their own store?
As a woman, I feel we're pretty ambitious.
How did you get that drive to be willing to do that?
Like I said, my dad told me I could do anything. He even said, you could be the first Asian Bahamian prime minister, female prime minister. So the sky was the limit in his eyes for me. And
Wonderful.
Because he believed in me, I now believed in myself. And like I say, when I met Harold, he was right there. He had an idea of actually opening a business himself from a young child. So when he approached me and said, well, maybe we could open a business, I said, you know what? Let's do that. And I was so excited. And I gave it my all. And to this day, I made sure I was doing something that I love. And I stayed in love with it, and that's why I've been able to keep at it, because I love what I do.
It must be hard, eh?
Oh, it's very hard. It's very hard. It's very painful.
You have to go shopping every month for your business?
Oh, that's not the hardest thing. That's the easiest thing.
What's the hardest thing?
The hardest thing is finding and keeping good help. You get a lot of young people who are not really interested in working, and you will get those really great ones. But unfortunately, they leave for college, they leave out the country, and it sometimes destabilizes your company when you lose good talent. So it's finding and keeping good talent. And the markets go down, they go up, and sales necessarily is not always great. So you find yourself a lot of times you're just staying afloat to keep your doors open, just staying afloat. And I stay at it. I stay at it.
And Adeline, a lot of women in our country, sometimes they feel very depressed and sad and discouraged. Anything you'd like to say to them?
Oh, as a woman, I know how hard it could be. And I know the load society puts on you. Take care of the children, take care of your home, take care of yourself, make sure you're in order. Take care of your husband or whoever your significant other is. But a lot of us feel left out. What about me? What about what I feel? What about who's loving me, who's taking care of me, who's nourishing me? And as a woman myself, that's what frustrates me. And that's what made me depressed and angry. Because I wonder, why so much burden on me as a woman to take care of my home, my child, and my husband? And I wasn't getting that love back. So I know how hard it could be as a woman, but what I found was that Jesus Christ is the #1 person who will never break your heart. And I seek him every day. And I tell my husband, I'd rather give my heart to God, because I know you could break it. But I could trust God not to break it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You're back to your grandmother.
Yes.
She prayed half a day in the church in Haiti.
Yes.
For you.
Yes.
And so at this stage, even though God has blessed you a lot, you say your faith isn't what your grandmother believed.
Yes. Yes.
You're God's child.
Yes, and that's what kept me. Despite everything else, that's what my base remained.
Adeline, thank you so much. I've come to love you, and Harold, you mean so much to me. You're right there helping me, and I just know Renascence, when I go to the family, you guys will be there. We're now growing so big, got a new building, but we're almost outgrown that. And so it's just a joy to see people, Bahamians, Haitian Bahamians, men, women, coming together to work on themselves. Because after all, life is, as you said, what you make of it. It's not what they did to you, it's what you do for yourself. And remember, you got to first of all become your problem in order to become your solution. Come home to your heart. Say hello to you, that little girl in you, that little boy. Even though she's been hurt and he's been hurt, remember, God loves you with a love which will never let you go, and a face which will never turn away. Adeline, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And good night. This is Dr. David Allen coming to you on the television program, People Helping People. During the past 6 years, I've been involved in an experimental study of a group of Bahamians, many who are the relatives of others who were killed or hurt in violent armed robberies. Some lost relatives just through death. Some have children who are having great difficulty coping with school or with the law. And so we have an adult family of about 50 people. Then we have a teenage family, which varies between 15 to 20 people. We've just completed our study of this process, and the results look very promising because it looks like we can reduce anger, we can reduce conflict, we can reduce loneliness, we can reduce abusive relationships, we can also reduce revenge, and we can improve self-esteem, gratitude, and looks like directionally we can also improve forgiveness. This is very powerful because this is perhaps one of the first quantitative studies around the world that shows the importance of re-socialization. In our family, the People Helping People program, we have men and we have women. Tonight we want to talk about the Bahamian male. With me is one of the members of our family, my family, Harold Sweeting. I've come to know Harold for a number of years. I find him a very honest, hard-working, and very sincere man. He's a businessman. He and his wife own a store, and they work extremely hard throughout the year. But he takes time every Wednesday to come to work with the family, to work on himself and his family. Harold, it's such a joy to have you here.
Nice to have me.
Harold, what does a family mean to you?
The family means a place that you can come in and bring your hurt and your pain, where you can not worry about what this person is going to say or how they're going to feel about you once you have shared your story. Because this is family helping people. And all of us is there with hurts and pain. So when I first came in, I was a little hold back. When I started coming after a while, I feel more relaxed because people can relate when they share their story, and I have a chance to share my story. They were sympathizing with me, and they told me that there is hope, and I've learned how to deal with my anger, depression, and loneliness.
Harold, again, from the experience in the family, it seems that a lot of our men are very lonely. I mean, they talk a very good game, but it looks like down deep, there's a deep loneliness. What is the loneliness that the Bahamian male is feeling?
I feel they feel lonely from rejection. First of all, rejection comes from maybe their family, like the mother and father reject them from a very young age. Maybe the family them split up, and they feel rejected that the father gone or the mother gone, whichever one. And it starts from there. And then when they go to school and try to fit in with other kids, and for some reason they don't fit in or the kids don't want them to be a part of their group, that's the next rejection. And when they grow up, they try to fit in with this crowd. They mightn't be the type of person who want to drink or party or whatever the case may be, but it seems like that's what everybody is doing, and they having fun with it. So why don't let me join that group? Maybe that's what I need to do to feel welcome. And when they started to force themselves on that group reject them. You understand? And being a young adult, you want a nice female companion, girlfriend, whatever, or boyfriend, whatever, and you don't get them the same person who you want all the time. So that's a rejection there. So
a lot of the Bahamian males are just feeling rejection
after rejection. And with that rejection, it causes a lot of hurt. And it causes you to feel like, do I belong here? Or what's my purpose? Because
and how you felt that hurt?
Yeah, I felt.
What does it feel like? It's like what?
It feels like a hole in your heart that you're trying to fill. You're trying to fill it with friends, and for some reason you're not fitting in with the crowd. Plenty things they're doing that you don't feel comfortable with, but you're not going to say anything because you don't want to feel like you're different. You understand? But after the fun and the game and all of the partying is over, you go home and you still feel lonely. You know?
And does that connect to the use of alcohol and drugs?
Yeah, that's where the alcohol and drugs come in. And sometimes the alcohol and drugs come in at a very young age after the rejection. You understand? Because rejection causes hurt. And it depends on the type of people is in your surroundings when you feel this rejection and hurt, because you can go to someone and tell them, share your problems. I feel rejected. I feel hurt. I have this pain. Can you help me? And if you go to the wrong person, you say, you know what? You just need to relax. Let's have a beer. You understand? And that beer feel good at the time. You understand? And let's have a next one. And all of a sudden, you just feel good and you feel relaxed. And that's false hope, false promises, because you only feel good and relaxed for that time. And afterwards, the problem is still there, and it's even worse. Because instead of you try to find positive people to try to help you with these rejection and hurt and heartaches, you decided to go to someone that maybe be able to understand you, because it seems like they getting by doing these things. Why can't I? You know?
Now, Harold, a lot of the men in the group say they wish they had a dad or a daddy. What are they saying?
They're saying that something is missing. Mommy tried all her best. She tried to be mommy and daddy, and she can't.
She can't be mommy and daddy.
She can't be mommy and daddy. She only could be mommy.
So a boy needs a daddy.
A boy needs a daddy. No matter how some people may say that, oh, you can go, I can take care of my own son, I can take care of my own kids. If people just would learn and understand the reason why a father, God designed a father and a mother, not just a mommy and a father, because it takes two to raise a child in a positive way. And with that daddy gone, I don't know how to become a man. There isn't nobody to teach me to become a man. Mommy only could teach me what she know, and the only thing she know is to be a woman. That's why you find these single parents, when they have a boy and a girl, the girls seem to do better than the boys.
In fact, the women are outdistancing the men in the Bahamas.
Yeah, they're outshining them almost 100%,
And why is that?
because their daddy is not at home.
They have their mommy.
They have their mommy. So the girls can learn a lot, and they take in everything that the mommy could give them.
I see. Whereas the boys, the women can't give the boys
The
that.
women can't give the boys that.
Mhm.
You understand?
Now, you grew up in Cat Island, and you told me a story once how your daddy was on a horse.
Yeah. I always want to be around my daddy no matter where he go. I always want to be with him. It's like that connection with your father is much different from any male. It's much different from your mom.
And one day he was on a horse. He was going
He
with
was on a horse. He was going to the farm, and he was trying to sneak out the house because he knew I wanted to go with him. And where he was going would have been kind of a little dangerous for me, going in the bush, whatever the case may be. And I heard the horse like going, and I ran out the house, and I was saying, hold my hand up, Daddy, Daddy, I want to go with you. Please let me go. And Daddy said, no, you can't go. And I was crying, and I was barefoot, and there's some stumps and rocks and stuff was on the ground, and I was stomping and hollering and said, Daddy, I want to go with you. Please don't leave me. I want to go with you. And my foot was bruised and all bloody up, and I didn't even feel that.
You wanted to be with your daddy.
I just wanted to be with my daddy. Oh. Mommy was saying, come, baby, you don't have to go. Daddy coming right back. But I wasn't hearing that. I just didn't want my daddy to go. I just wanted to be with him.
That's so powerful.
Yeah. And to this day, I'm a man right now, and I still feel that connection with my father. You understand? And I have adult friends, and when they would talk, they would say, well, my daddy wasn't there. And most of my friends, their daddy wasn't there, like how my daddy was there for me. And you could see the difference. You could see the anger still there. You understand? You will find some of them say, well, I wouldn't even go to their funeral, because they feel like something they did that they shouldn't have done. They should have stick around and help me through this struggle in life.
There's nobody to help them through the struggle.
Nobody to help them through the struggle.
Harold is very powerful. Harold Sweeting, he's saying a young boy needs a dad. In our country, our work has shown that young men are having very difficult times, trouble with the law, not being able to finish their schoolwork. Some even think it's not cool to even learn. And Harold thinks that one of the reasons is that they don't have a daddy. Fellow Bahamians, this is a serious issue. Part of our work has been not to tell you what we read, but to tell you what our work in the community with young men and women and fathers and mothers have actually shown us. Harold is saying, if you're a dad and you have a boy child, that boy child needs you. And if you don't do the time with him, he's going to have to pay the time. A boy needs a daddy. Every man is a boy in search of a daddy. We're going to take a break and be right back. This is Dr. David Allen coming to you on the television program, People Helping People. We're talking about the Bahamian man. With me is Harold Sweeting, one of the members of the Family People Helping People group. And the last segment he shared how important it is for a young man to have a dad. And he was saying that one of the problems we're finding in the family or in the community is a lot of young boys claim that somehow their father was not there for them. Harold, another development we're seeing in the family but also in our society, that it seems that some men are choosing to kill themselves. What do you think of that?
What I think is like they lose hope.
They lose what?
Hope.
Hope.
They lose like what there is now. I have tried everything, and it seems like everything I have tried wasn't working. And they've been very vulnerable and they're hurt, and society sell them a lie.
What do you mean, society?
Society sell them a lie, whereas it make it so glamorous, like the alcohol and the weed and the beady and the clubs and all of that. If you want happiness, that's where to go for it. They try all of that. Or the girls running around, the fancy cars and everything else, the nice clothes, the nice jewelry and everything like that. They did all of that. And they find themselves still lonely, still have that hole in them. And that's where depression come in. Say, why I'm not happy? Why still I'm not happy? All of these things I have, all of these things I did, I tried this, I tried that, and I'm not happy. So you lose sense of hope and feeling that there's no reason to be alive. So the best thing to do is just kill myself.
Harold, have you ever felt that way?
I felt like that plenty times. And when I can remember...
What does it feel like?
It's not a good feeling. It's a feeling like the only thing to do right now to numb the pain and get rid of the pain is to just kill myself. And I feel like that when my family broke up, my mom and my dad, they went their separate ways. Mommy said she went to Nassau to get a better life for us. And I believe that and all of that. But I still believe that they should have stick together and struggled together, because I wasn't hungry. I was still getting food on my table. I was still eating. I was still happy in my family life. And I can remember my daddy was, every time we come from school, it's like school start again, because he would make sure we get in our books, and he would sit down with us and he'll help us in our books. And Mommy will be right there. So I feel that connection, a family connection, I love when I come from school. And when that was taken away from me, I didn't know what depression was. This feeling came over me. And the only thing I could think about after a while was missing my mom and my family connection, because when Mommy gone, it wasn't only Mommy gone, I lose my father too. And this depression came on me, and I started spending time by myself, going for long walks, sitting down by myself, just secluding myself from everybody, going places where, on cliffs.
Wait, cliffs, because Cat Island has some cliffs. Right?
Yeah, Cat Island have, you call it rocks down the beach that you go fishing on. So we're going to fishing on the rocks, and some rocks is very, very high. When you look down, it's like...
So you'll go up on those rocks?
I'll go up on those rocks and I'll just look over, and the thoughts will be coming to me and say, you in plenty pain. And if you jump right now, in seconds, your pain will be gone. You will have no more pain. And I said, that's what I want right now. I want the pain to go away. So the man who wants to
commit suicide, they're feeling tremendous pain.
Pain.
And the thought is, if I killed myself, I wouldn't feel that pain
anymore. I wouldn't feel that pain anymore. And I wanted the pain to go away so bad that I resort to that point. But something pulled me back. There was always a time I just say I'm going to kill myself. There's always something that stopped me. And I believe it's God, because I hold God dear to my heart. And God has something planned for me that I don't even know. But I just have to hold on and see what it is. But I feel for my young fellas out there, my young brothers and sisters too, because some of them have fallen on the wayside too. Every time I drive in Nassau, a sadness come on me, because I see...
Every time you what?
Every time I drive around in Nassau, a sadness come on me. Because when I see the young fellas them out there with no hope, I see myself, I see my brother, my cousins. Sometimes I see with my dad and grandfather, you know.
So you're saying, Harold, if you had to be brought up in Nassau now, you know,
it might have been a different story.
you may not have made it?
No.
Why?
Because the negative influence that Nassau have, different from the island, it's like, there's no hiding the destruction that's happening around you. The kids is in it. The killing, the smoking marijuana, the selling of the marijuana, the smoking beedi, the drinking alcohol is right there in the midst of the young kids. And they feel like, well, when I get a certain age, I'm going to do that. It look cool. Because I see my friends doing it, and look at them. They look cool. They have it together. And that's what society is telling us. And the young man them is walking around in the streets with their liquor in their hand, and the kids is saying that. That's not a good picture. You telling me as a young person who's still in school that when you come out of school, you can do this too. I feel good. When I have my problems, I sit on a block, and I have a few, and that's it. That's all life is about, just relaxing.
That's how they live.
And that's how they live.
Harold, what made you want to kind of change your life? Because, you know, I've noticed in the past few months, as I've gotten to know you, you've become one of the real pillars of the family. I mean, I've come to really enjoy you and to love you. But there seemed like there's some kind of change taking place in you. What is that?
I'm falling in love with my son every day.
You have a son?
Yes.
How old is your son?
He's 3 years old. I'm falling in love with him every day. Every time I look at him, I'm falling
When
more.
you look at your son, 3-year-old, what do you see, Harold?
I see promise. I see hope. I see love. I see a sense of gratitude. I see Barack Obama or Perry Christie or Hubert Ingram. You know, I refuse to continue the ways that I was going. I was a very destructive. I was living a very destructive life, and
so when you realized that you were living that destructive life and that he was now going to be hurt by that.
Yeah, because he is watching everything I do.
The boys watch their
He
dads.
is the boys is watching everything the daddy do. Everything. When my son was a little younger, I would pick up something and he would go pick up the same thing. I would put it down, he'll put it back down. I would say something, he'll say it. So I tell myself, I'm not gonna drink anything that I can't give my son a sip of on the side of me. I don't want, Daddy, what you drinking? Give me some of that. Oh, you can't drink that. You're too young. You have to wait until you're older. So that means you're giving me the okay when I get older to drink rum. You know? And if I continue, with God's help, if I continue the way that I'm going right now, he can have a bright future. And if I did not stop what I was doing, then I was doing him injustice. I was saying, forget about him. How he grew up is how he grew up. And where he end up is where he end up. And I feel like fathers, we responsible for where our kids gonna be in the future. If we don't care, then let's don't do anything. If you get a divorce, or for some reason you and your significant other didn't work out, and you decided that, okay, let her take care of the child, I don't want anything to do with it, and what happened, then leave it be. And see how that child grew up. If you're lucky, the child may find good influence and may go in the right path. But majority of the time, it doesn't work like that. They get kicked out of school, end up in prison, or for what reason? Because the daddy wasn't there. Majority of the time, you will ask the young kids who are on the streets, I don't have no daddy, so don't tell me nothing. My daddy wasn't there. He didn't care for me.
Harold, what a powerful story. He says as he walks around the streets in Nassau, he actually feels sad because he sees himself. He sees his little boy. And now he's decided to change his life. He's a different man than when he first came to the family. It's such a joy to be with him because I guess my issue is I am not going to accept that my country is in trouble. I'm not going to accept that our young men have to be destroyed and commit murder and go on drugs and smoke beedi and be without jobs. I'm not going to accept that. Harold is living proof that young men can be helped. We just don't have enough people to help us. Why don't you come and help us? After all, this is our country, you know. And don't insult my country. It's a beautiful country. God has blessed this country. We have nothing to be ashamed about, nothing to hide, but just to get out and work hard. I believe in the Bahamas. I believe in the Bahamian man. It ain't over yet. We're going to get there. We're going to take a break and be right back. This is Dr. David Allen coming to you on the television program, People Helping People. We're discussing the Bahamian male. And with me is a very special person, Harold Sweeting. I've seen him change his life. I've seen him work on himself. He and his wife are beautiful people. He is a businessman. He has his own store with his wife, and they work very hard. But yet he knows the challenges of being a Bahamian man in this society. Sometimes it's hard for a man to make it in Nassau.
Yeah, it's very hard. You know, it's much easier for a woman to make it.
Why is that?
Because as you look around, there's more opportunities for women in the job areas. It's like almost the Bahamas is doing what the world is doing, creating a world for women. The technology, and the men could do it too, but for some reason the woman is more pleasant or attractive for a customer to greet, or whatever the case may be. And I could sympathize with the young man. They say, well, I can't find a job, but really some of them don't even looking hard enough. You can find something to do.
But some have tried, Harold.
Yeah. And
you said they get a lot of rejection.
Yeah, a lot of rejection, you know.
Because one guy met me once and he said, you know, Dr. Allen, it's great when you win the dice game. Mm-hmm. It's great when you get the girl. Mm-hmm. But what happens when you lose the girl and she rejects you? Yeah. You lose the dice game and you just can't get to first base. You can't get a job. He said to me, no one has taught us how to handle failure.
No.
He said, our problem as young men, we don't know how to handle failure. Because once you fail, the shame of failure comes in, and you just go on to more failure. You understand what he was saying to me?
Yeah.
What was he saying?
What he was saying is, I don't have the tools, so when I'm being rejected, or when I do something and I fail, I don't have the tools to overcome that. So I fall back down into maybe self-pity, or that I don't have what it takes to do the job, or whatever the case may be. And for us to, when we get rejected and a woman rejects us or a job rejects us, just to move on, go to the next place. Somebody else may see something better in you.
Was that hard for you, Harold?
Yes, it was hard. And for example, when I say move on, when I first came to Nassau, I was supposed to go to BTVI, but I came late and I didn't have a chance to do my stuff. And I was just laying up in bed, you know, and when we take care of me, by the way, my mother's name is Teresa Sweeting. And she said, Jerry, you need to go look for a job. So I went out as I started walking, and my brother was working to this grocery store, and he asked his boss to let me work, and then I go in there for one day. And I thought it was going to be something challenging for me. And they told me to stock the shelf with corned beef or whatever the case may be. So I stocked the shelf, and I said, Jerry, this ain't what you want. This ain't for you. So I went and I thanked them for it, and I just gone home. And I lay there. But I didn't just let that be it. I get up the next day, and I walk down to Wilton Street. Fire and welding, I went there, and I asked for a job. And they asked me for my BJC and BJC SC or whatever the case may be. I wasn't one of them who did good in school. You understand?
School was hard.
School was hard.
And that's so for many young men in Bahamas, eh?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because after school, if the parents isn't there to help them through, they're just going to take in what they learn in school and just be distracted with the video games and going basketball court or hanging out with the fellas or whatever the case may be. And the gentleman who was in charge of the store, he told me, he'll call me. I know he wasn't going to call. So I walked down a little further. I feel a little rejected. I walked down a little further.
How did it feel to be rejected?
It feel hurt.
Because he said, I'll call you.
Yeah.
But you knew the way he said it,
he was not going to call
you.
He was not going to call me.
And that happens with all young men.
Yeah.
They get rejected. People even say, yeah, man, I'll help you, but...
Yeah, but you know they're not going to help.
How does that feel?
That feel like you're not worthy. You don't have what it takes.
In your own country.
In your own country.
You have no other country to go to.
No other country to go to. So what do I do? You understand? What do I do? The workforce is rejecting me. I'm trying to do good. I'm trying my best. I have my papers together. I'm a Bahamian. I go into this job to try to find a job, but they may look at me and say, well, I don't think you could do the job, without giving me a try. You understand? And I walked down to Wilton Street, a little further, and Tops Lumber and Plumbing, and I asked to speak to the manager, and he came to me, and I said, I'm looking for a job. I tell him my name, and he said, yeah, we're looking for a good fellow. We're looking for a good man. Then I say, well, you're looking at him. Then he said, well, fill up the form, and I'll give you a call. He said the same thing the first gentleman said, I'll call you. But I knew how he said it in his face. I knew he was going to call. And that uplifted my spirit. Wow. I went home with a smile on my face.
Harold, you did not give up.
I did not give up. And I was...
Now, what makes you not give up? Because when you got that rejection, you could have gone home, got your BD, got your alcohol, got your marijuana, but you did not give up.
No, I did not give
up.
What
makes some men just give up and you say, look, I'm going to keep on going?
You need to have that drive. You need to want something in life. You need not to say, well, I am at this point and it's okay for me to stay there, because it's not. Because life goes on, people change, things around you change. What works for you now, sitting down and trying to do anything, ain't not going to work for you later on, because things is getting much more expensive, and $2 and $3 in your pocket, it's not going to work. You may end up getting a lady pregnant, and then that's where the baby come in. Where you going to find money to support the unborn child or the pregnant woman? Because 2 to 1, she might even have to have a job, or she might have to leave a job because she's pregnant. So what do? You know, and I was determined to, if Tops Lumber and Plumbing, they turned me down, I was determined to walk. I didn't have no ride, and in Nassau to jump in my car.
And I guess, Harold, that's it. You have stickability.
Yeah,
Because when you first came to the family, you had a rough, remember that weekend?
yeah, it was rough.
Remember that night?
Yeah.
What was it like when you think about that night now?
When I first came, I wasn't planning on coming back because I said, wow, Dr. Allen put me on the spot, you know. And it was a good thing after a while because there was something that you saw that I needed to get out, but I didn't even know.
Oh, I loved you. And then I saw you, man. I saw your hope. You know, what I find is young men like you with that Cat Island background, I find when I could get that Cat Island background and connect it to the Nassau connection and make that work. And I was trying to play your Out Island experience.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, last week when you went to the boys at Lead, right?
Yes.
And I said, you know, go to those young men and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And you said they did something for you. What did they do for you?
What they did for me, they helped me as it was like a learning experience for me and them.
Mm.
And I told them that I understand now that I've been in Nassau for a couple years, and because I live in Cat Island, and the difference between Nassau and Cat Island is 100%, almost night and day. You understand? So the things what they being addressed with and hands-on isn't like that in Cat Island. It's like you'll walk past a young man and he's angry. Maybe from rejection or father wasn't there. But you go on Cat Island, even though they ain't have that much money in their pocket, they may have a farm somewhere, or they may go fishing later on today or go catch some crab and make some honest dollar. They're still happy, you know. And the older people teach us that.
I see. Whereas in Nassau, you found these young men. You found yourself saying to them, if you had to grow up here in Nassau, you'd be just like them or worse.
I mean, being just like them and worse.
Because what?
Because the environment is totally different.
Sorry.
And sometimes the older people who know better wouldn't take out the time to teach.
See,
to
the
teach
family
and
out
show
an
them.
older person would help a young man.
Yeah.
But in Nassau, a young man is on his own.
Is
If
on your
you
own.
don't have a daddy
Mhm.
or an uncle or somebody, a pastor to help him, he's on his own.
He's on his own. And it's unfair. And the stories that the young man was telling me about the hurt that the older people cause them. They being hurt at home, and when they go to school, the teachers them maybe take their own problems at school and physically abuse them. You know, like maybe they have no training on how to deal with kids, because kids come inside school with problems. And they expect that for the teacher to uplift them, to make them feel better than what society is teaching them. That there is hope, you know, not to bring your problems from home at school and put it on the kids. Because you'll find an 18-year-old or a 26-year-old person and they still have the story about what my teacher did to me. And how he or she dealt with the problem that I had. They could have dealt with it a different way.
So you felt for those young men?
Yeah, I felt for them, you know, and I tell myself that I will be doing myself, them, and my society injustice by continuing down the destructive road that I was going. Because I owe myself, I owe those young men a chance.
Wow.
And to know that there is hope. And I tell them that what we try to do in the group is try to build character in them so that when they get a little older or have a job, they can stand up on the side of anybody and feel proud.
That's beautiful.
And not feel like they have to hang their head down.
You know, Harold, it's so beautiful because now it means the Monday family, which is now started last week, you're actually helping.
Yeah, and I'm excited to go there today.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
God bless you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You know, Harold Sweeting, what a beautiful story of a young man from Cat Island who came to Nassau and lost his way, but we met each other, and he's now one of the pillars of my program. And Only that he's become now a helper therapist in a new program, Mondays, with the young men whose life have been blasted, some in trouble with the law. And he says, as he sits with them, he sees himself. He realizes what they need is older people to be with them. Harold, I'm so glad you're helping those young men. We're going to take a break and be right back. This is Dr. David Allen coming to you on the television program, People Helping People. We're talking about the Bahamian young man. And with me is Harold Sweeting. You've heard his story. He's been through an awful lot. He's lost, he's failed, he's been rejected, he's been on alcohol and all messed up, but somehow, through God's grace and good work, he is now back with us and one of the pillars of my program. But Harold has a beautiful wife, Adeline,
yes.
And she is beautiful.
Yeah, she is only beautiful in looks. She is beautiful in heart and spirit, because I believe, I know for a fact, if I didn't have Adeline by my side, I would have been, I don't know where I would have been, maybe in jail or dead, because every time I go in that destructive behavior, she never gave up on me. She remind me of the stuff that we have talked about, the hope and wanting to help people through the struggles that we have been through. And we came from nothing to actually having something right now. We can put food.
She's ambitious.
She is very, very ambitious.
You all had 2 stalls in the mall.
We had two stores in the mall.
Property out Cable Beach.
We have property out Cable Beach. We have 4 apartments in High Vista. And it was all because of her, you know. I had the drive and everything, but she was the one to push it.
She's a pusher.
She's a pusher. And she says she isn't giving up because she determined to show something different.
Now, she's a Haitian Bahamian, right?
She's a Haitian Bahamian.
And you know, I come to love her because she went through a lot of trouble growing up in the Bahamas.
Yes.
Because Bahamians, we got to change this nonsense. We've been so terrible sometimes to our Haitian brothers and sisters. But this young lady, with all the rejection she had in the school,
yeah,
she stood tall.
The rejection in school, rejection in society, and she still stand up tall with her head held up high.
God bless her.
Because she knew she wasn't just a Haitian or Bahamian Haitian or whatever. She knew that she was God's child, and that's what drive her. That's no matter what people say or look down on her, she hold up her head high and say, "I'm God's child. I'm just like you."
Harold, when you saw her, how did you know she was the one for you? What about her struck you?
Something struck me about her that I couldn't even describe. It's like, wow, you know, that's your wife. And I said, no.
When did you saw her?
Yeah, when I saw her.
She's a pretty woman now.
Yeah, she's pretty and everything, but I saw something beyond that. I saw a strong black woman. I didn't see a Haitian woman. I didn't see a Bahamian woman. And people thought she was American because when she talked, she had this American accent, whatever the case may be. But I didn't see none of that. I saw a beautiful, young, strong lady. And she needed a ride home, and when we started to talk, it's like she was talking like she was the older person. All this wisdom she had, and this determination that she had for success, and the love of God, you know, and that struck me with her, and I kept on holding on, and holding on to her until this day. And matter of fact, she's such a beautiful person. She went to Tampa on Saturday, went over to her brother to share some help and give some hope there, you know. So she is working all over, you know. And I thank God for putting her in my life, because if it wasn't for her to let me know that it ain't over yet, as long as God is still there, there's hope.
So in other words, you're saying for a young man, it helps to have a good woman beside you.
For a young, it's not only just a beautiful woman in heart, because if only only beauty you have, that's all you have to offer. When that go, then what you have, you know?
And you all work together, like you told me how with your store, for retail stores, Christmas is a big time.
Yes.
And you have to work all the year to get ready for Christmas.
Yeah. You pay your bills throughout the year, and you're waiting for Christmas. You wish every day it's Christmas. You understand? Because that's the time when you see some kind of a profit, you know, because you're paying your rent, you're paying your staff, you're bringing in products, you're paying the Bahamas customs, you're paying hotel, you're paying airfares, and all of that.
So Christmas starts for you all like in November then?
Yeah, like in the middle part of November.
You get your stock ready.
And it ends, the ending part of December. When January hit, it's like it's dead.
And you have to go away each month to buy for the store?
Each month to buy for the store.
And where do you go?
New York.
New York.
Yeah.
So how did you get to New York? Why not Miami?
We went to Miami for a couple years until we find out that New York was the place to go.
Has everything?
Has everything, and it have a larger selection. You know, it's like Miami is good, but it's picky. But New York is like everything is right there. You just have to be willing to do the work for it.
And then Christmas, you all buckle down and work together.
We buckle down, work together. I promised my wife this year that I'm going to be by your side by side. I'm not going to do anything stupid.
And you were there?
I was there every day, all day until the store was closed, and working alongside her. Whatever there was need to be done, I was there.
Oh, congratulations.
You know, and we worked good together.
Yeah.
We worked and we built our apartment at a very young age. You know, we was she was about 23, I was about 24, you know, and that's how I know God have his hands on us. And for us to not only keep things by ourselves, but to share our story and know that we was hurt too, and we had disappointments, we fall down, but we get up. You understand? And I want to tell the young fellas out there is hope. And people like us is feeling your pain and let you know there's some place to come. When you're feeling that pain and that depression and that anger, there's some place to come and just release all of that. And try come every day if you can to the family, helping people on Blue Hill Road. You know, I'm there every Wednesday because it's helped me. And I learned in order to help myself, I have to help somebody else.
And vice versa. It help you, somebody else, help yourself.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
And not to give up on our men, ladies, because we have a heart too, and we mushy inside. You know, we soft inside. We may have this strong exterior, but we need your compassion, not to just count us out. We you know.
Women could be hard on the men sometimes.
Yeah, they could be hard because they expect...
But sometimes in the family it gets really rough, eh?
It gets really, really rough. They expect this man to be strong and holding his own. Why are you crying?
And women, they come together, right?
Yeah, they come together, like they got it together, and whatever the case may be.
And whereas the men sometimes we don't know how to bond like they do.
No.
When a woman get together, she in pain.
Yeah.
All the women come together, they sing, and they become as one.
No.
But the men, we don't know how to do that yet.
No.
Why is that?
I think we have to learn to do that.
Why is it's like we're afraid of each other, like we're homophobic. We're scared to get close.
They feel like if I get too close, somebody may look at me in a different way. You know, that they may think that I'm gay.
Remember this guy was last week, the man was crying, right?
Yeah.
And this fellow went up to be close to him. I said, man, hug the man.
Yeah, and he didn't even
stayed there and just give him a little Kleenex.
And
I said, so why are men scared of men in the Bahamas, to hug them?
I don't know. It's like I can remember when I was in primary school, and hugging was something, I could hug an ex male and like that, and it wasn't no problem. It was something normal until when we went to a fair to a different school, and I remember I was hugging my friend, and an ex-gentleman say, what y'all two fellas doing hugging one another? Y'all sissy or whatever? So that deterred me. I say, hold on, maybe they may think we gay or whatever the case may be. So we just have to, show our love somewhere else or some other way.
So the Bahamian man, we're kind of isolated in ourselves.
Yeah.
The women can hug and hold and cry, and even though we feel for the guy crying, we stand on the side and give him a little clinic, but we ain't gonna touch him.
No, we ain't gonna touch him. And man, we hold in a lot.
You what?
We hold in a lot of pain instead of just letting it go. Let it go. My daddy always used to tell me, you need to talk. Let it out. And I can help you, because holding it cause all kind of, it could cause heart attack and depression and all of that. Because what you may be worrying about, it may be something simple that somebody else may have an answer to help you with. But until you talk about it, you'll never know.
It's very important, Healthy people talk. Sick people don't talk. Jaw stops war. Harold, it's been a joy being with you and Adeline. You've blessed me so much, both of you. I just love both you and Adeline. Here's a young Bahamian couple who are working hard. They've had their blows. They've fallen. They've got up. They keep struggling. And it just encourages me so much. As we come to the end of our show, Harold, what would you like to say to some other young men out there who are having a really hard time? They just can't get to first base. They've tried, they've got a job, they've lost a job, they've got a marriage, they lost a woman, they had a girlfriend, they lost a woman. What would you like to say to them?
What I would like to say is not to give up, because God told us that it's not going to be an easy road. And expect some kind of failure, expect some kind of disappointments, because like my friend used to tell me, life isn't a bed of roses. Life has its challenges. You can have your ups and you can have your downs. But when you have those downs, to hold your head up and know that there is hope, And I'm not going to give up on my young fellas them who are out there who's trying their best, but people looking at them and saying, well, they're not trying, that's where they want to be. The fellas them in the bar, sometimes they don't want to be in the bar, They're just there because they feel comfortable there. You understand? But if they have someone that they can talk to without the bottle in their hand, you'll find out that they'll get far. And they say, you know what, you're making a lot of sense. But the Bahamian culture, we feel like every time somebody is in pain or have some kind of headache or disagreement with their wife or girlfriend, they feel like, man, let's just go to the bar. We need to stop that. We need to stop that, say, let's go to the bar. Let's go sit down someplace and talk. And if you don't feel that you can talk to me, who do you feel that you can feel comfortable talking to? You understand? It may be a friend who don't drink, or a pastor, or somebody else. Or you could call your mommy or call your daddy, say, Daddy, because they've been through struggles too. Daddy, I feel like this. I feel like that. What you think I should do? And they're going to give you their honest opinion. It may hurt, or that might be something that you may need to hear right then and there, but just listen. Like my friend told me, he's there now, that if a Joneser come to sit down and talk to you, not because he's a Joneser, you just turn him away, because something that he may be saying that you may need to hear. So give each others a chance. Don't give up on us, because I'm not going to give up on you. As long as breath is in my body, I'm going to try to overcome my shyness, overcome the stuff that keeps me from talking, just to help you. Because I see that all of us need help, and we need to be there to help one another, not to see one another fall.
Harold, it's so beautiful being with you and just to hear you speak so eloquently to our young men. I just want to thank you and your beautiful wife, Adeline, for the friendship, for the tremendous work you do and blessing our country. People, we don't hear about the work being done. There are no big heroes or awards, but throughout the day and night, there are people like Harold and his dear wife who are my right and left hand, and they are helping in ways you wouldn't even know. Because of your work.
Yes.
Work you're doing in your own life.
Yes.
Young men are being blessed.
Yeah.
Work of your wife, young women are being blessed.
Yes.
That you as a young couple having your own business and trying to make ends meet. I know it's not easy,
No, it's hard.
but you keep on keeping
Keep on pushing.
That's right.
You know.
Fellow Bahamians, I hope you've enjoyed talking with Harold, recognizing our young men. They're having difficult times, but they need your love. They need your support. If you see a young boy, stop beside the road and bless him. Say a prayer for him. Encourage him. Or a young girl, because our young girls need help as well. We as one people, one Bahamas. God has blessed us tremendously. And remember that no matter how bad things are, there's a love which will never, never let you go. And a face which never turns away. Thank you, and